Hey guys, as this channel has rolled on and on, past 1,000 videos in total, and now past 3 million viewers in total, not 3 million subscribers, but 3 million views, I get fewer and fewer poison pen letters. I get less hate mail. But in the past, one of the most common complaints I'd receive was that I didn't receive or didn't respond to criticism, which I do all the time. And the video you're about to see right now is an example of that. And I just note I'm taking some time out of my day, reasonably busy day, to answer this in a hotel room. You can tell I'm not at home. This is not the first time I've made a video in a hotel room when I'm on the road. It's not the first time I've responded to what's basically a hostile, critical email sent to me. I have many videos. I could make a playlist where people wrote into me quite unreasonably. And many, many times I've sought out and engaged in conversation with people via Skype, via telephone, via some other internet chat medium, people who are my critics, people who disagree with me substantively. I do not think Unnatural Vegan has ever done any of the things on that list. Not even one. Can you remember one video of hers that was an interview or a debate with someone who disagrees with her on any of these issues? Maybe there is, I haven't seen every video on her channel. I've probably seen the thumbnail for every video on her channel. I do not remember her doing that even once. I do not remember her ever taking criticism. And of course, I've written criticism about her. Taking criticism and actually responding to that criticism. Some people say she's done that covertly. That there was one of her videos dealing with animal castration and animal declawing of pets, and that she was indirectly responding to criticisms I'd leveled at her without naming me. So she does not engage with critics. She does not engage with criticism. Most YouTubers don't. And I really do take the time to do this. Now, why? I'm genuinely passionate about these issues. This whole YouTube channel reflects my sincere passions in life. And I use the word passion advisedly. Passion includes contempt, hatred, outrage. Passion is not passion is not an entirely positive thing, especially not from a kind of Buddhist perspective. Love and care and consideration are not the only passions. I've said this to people before. If you're really passionate about Shakespeare and you start a YouTube channel and you're reviewing and discussing what's been going on in the theater lately, different attempts to reinterpret and mount Shakespeare, it's not possible that every video in your channel is going to be cheerleading, is going to be positive reviews. You're going to have to engage in some criticism. There's going to have to be some level of critique and complaint. If you're passionate about it, we're going to see the full range of passions on your channel. If you start a Shakespeare channel, you say, this year, this production of Hamlet was a great disappointment, and last year this other production was better. You're going to make those kinds of contrasts. So there has to be a little bit of acceptance in my role here, whether you think of me as a critic or as someone who's trying to mount his own interpretation of Hamlet, someone who's trying to contribute to the art form in his way. There's a lot of hypocrisy in terms of how I'm perceived within the vegan scene. But over the course of 5 years and 1,000 videos and 3 million views, it's gotten better. In a lot of ways, I feel I've won many of the fundamental fights, many of the fundamental disputes or debates that have transpired around me. In some cases, debates I was merely involved in, and in some cases, they really were debates that I started, that I initiated, that nobody was talking about in the digital vegan demo. Sorry, I'm wearing a lot of layers, guys, because it really is cold here. I am in scenic Detroit, Michigan, and I know it's kind of ridiculous wearing a scarf indoors, but anyway. That's how we're going to roll. So here's the email I received. So it's actually it's a long comment sent to me on YouTube, and this is someone who is sincerely defending Unnatural Vegan, Swayze. And I don't know if I ever once had someone write to me this way. Look, 5 years is a long time. It's possible I've gotten a couple of emails like this, but a long time ago. Someone writing in to defend what they think is Swayze's position. I assume this is not Unnatural Vegan herself under a pen. I assume this isn't someone who knows her personally. I assume it's just a fan. You'll see from the writing style, maybe it is someone who knows her. I don't know. But it's also someone who makes some false assumptions about me, and that's okay. I can reply. But I'm making this video because I'm genuinely interested in hearing the other side of it. When I criticized Direct Action Everywhere, I reached out to and wanted to interview and talk to representatives of Direct Action Everywhere again and again. That was over a 3-year period. And finally now, Isaac, ask yourself, he says he found one member of Direct Action Everywhere who'd be willing to talk to me, willing to have some kind of a debate or interaction with me. And then that didn't happen. Then mysteriously that hasn't happened. So when I criticize Cube of Truth, what's the other thing that's known? Cube of Truth is also known as Anonymous for the Voiceless. When I criticized that organization right from the start, I said I'm totally willing to reach out to you guys and talk to you guys and hear the other side and present that on my channel. I've been like that across the board, including with Unnatural Vegan, including with Swayze, of course, especially early on in this fracas with Unnatural Vegan. And there are feelings involved. There are hard feelings involved. I think it would be ridiculous if I came out here and gave you a kind of dry academic presentation like, oh, of course, I don't care about the future of veganism. Oh, no. I'm not part of a community. I'm not part of a movement. I don't have hopes and aspirations and dreams. Oh, no. I'm just here to make money out of YouTube. How could you possibly think that my feelings are involved? No, of course my feelings are involved. I've dedicated a lot of time to this, and it's not for no reason. And you guys know, I mean, earlier this year, I signed up to go to culinary college to try to do vegan baking, try to start a bakery as that part of the movement. And anyway, so, I mean, yeah, I really care. And again, even if it were something like Shakespeare, if you really care about it, you're going to get that full range of emotions and passion showing. So have a little bit of compassion for me. And you're going to see how much or how little compassion I can muster, even for someone like Swayze, who obviously is not playing the game by the same rules I play by. All right. Point 1. So I'm now going to read this person's response to me or criticism of me. Point 1. This person claims the Patreon text is pre-motherhood and pretty sure pre-relationship. It's unfair to take an outdated text that she has not touched since years. Untrue. So to my knowledge, and you will remember this also, and Swayze herself says it on her Patreon, she deleted her whole Patreon page, just prior to what is referred to as the Adpocalypse event. So everyone will remember this. There was this brief period where advertising revenue dried up on YouTube, and even big YouTubers like PewDiePie, people who make a lot of money, complained about it, and Swayze had completely canceled and shut down her Patreon page just before that happened. And then she had to come on YouTube and beg people to come back and donate money on Patreon again because she suddenly wasn't making as much money as she had been projecting she'd earn. So I'm sorry, I do not think this is true at all. I think her whole Patreon page was deleted and then started again from scratch. So this is relatively recent text. So I don't know, again, I don't know why you claim this. Now, even if that were not the case, you're responsible for the what you say in a fundraising message. I mean, if she had the same message up for years, which I believe is impossible for the reasons I just stated, okay, well, you live by it. If you're a politician and you haven't changed your slogan in years, if your slogan is that you're going to conquer Iraq and create the world's greatest democracy in Baghdad, and you're still running on that promise, you can say, oh, well, that's before, hasn't been changed in 5 years. Okay, so to me, this is relevant. But anyway, interesting. This guy opens by claiming that it's unfair for me to criticize her. I didn't even criticize her. I just read it out to you guys. I just read what her pitch is. Her sales pitch for you to donate $1,500. Now you tell me, do you think she'd live up to it? I said to Melissa today, we were just on the way to the grocery store, and I said, we could donate $1,000. Like, what if we just for 1 month donate $1,000 and see what happens? Do you actually think she's going to start making documentaries? Like, what do you think is going to happen? You guys can ask yourself that question. But I mean, I could have said a lot more in criticizing her stated promises, her positions on this. But all I did was read it out to you guys, and you have taken it as a criticism because indeed it's not a very convincing pitch. So you say it's unfair to use that. I think what I said with that is it's not just fair, it's factual. All I did was read it out to you. Okay. The criticism continues. Are you surprised that with one toddler and one toddler-to-come, she stays with the man of her dreams in the moment? Okay, I'm sorry. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you've heard me say this before. In the history of political movements, who has suffered less? Hillary Clinton? Oh, well, she had a kid. I'm sorry. All kinds of great political leaders and activists have and raise kids, have a family. She doesn't have a full-time job. She doesn't have a crippling disability. She's not living in a cave in northern Vietnam. She's not fighting a racist segregationist state like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Who has suffered less? Like, I don't know what claim you can possibly be making here that somehow her life is so hard just because she has a kid. She has a baby that she chose to have. What are you insinuating? And on the other hand, what do you think I'm assuming? I'm not saying she has to move into a cave in northern Vietnam and fight against the world's most heavily armed military. We're not asking anything heroic of her. In that video, I didn't make any demands of her. But, if you want to measure these people against, Mahatma Gandhi and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. or any significant political leaders in the past, well, you can choose. But if you want to measure them, how many Hollywood actresses, how many movie producers, how many documentary film directors raised kids? Are you kidding me? How low are we setting the standards here? And that's what she says she wants to do. She said the only goal or aspiration we've heard from her is that she wants to make short, cheap documentaries for YouTube, but she needs the money so she can afford stock footage and to do interviews. I do interviews with people all the time. I just did an interview with a documentary filmmaker a couple weeks ago. 1-hour interview via Skype. Nobody paid me. I didn't have to pay. Doesn't cost any money. But she's saying she needs this money so she can do interviews. I've been doing interviews for 5 years. Ain't got nowhere yet. But anyway, so why would her having this baby, why would that matter this way? It's a little bit strange. Okay, we continue. Quote, you should be able to relate to that. Don't you think, okay, so there are some typos in here. Don't you think that when the children are in kindergarten, she will actually meet, greet, organize, bake, invite non-vegan children, etc.? I have no idea what you're getting here, as opposed to what. Now, he says of me, it was not your choice to get divorced. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I don't know where you're getting information from. I did choose to get divorced. So, yeah, it was a choice I made. I dumped my ex-wife, to be blunt. I mean, she didn't dump me. So, I don't know what you're saying or why you'd say this or how this defends a natural vegan. He then says, and see your daughter only a few times a year. But yet, how would your life be with your daughter? Maybe toys, activities, etc. would be more important than meeting other vegans or the fight for veganism while traveling on the world. I totally disagree with you. I mean, it's not... I'm trying to do it right now. You guys know the last time we went to Paris, we put out an announcement here on YouTube, and we wrote to, if you're on my Patreon, you saw the letter, we wrote to all these different vegan organizations. Everywhere I go, I'm trying to organize, I'm trying to do real activism with other vegan activists. It's not too much to ask. While I'm taking care of my daughter, I'm writing to vegan organizations, agencies. I'm reaching out to people here on YouTube and by Skype and by email. I'm trying to make something positive happen. And again, any political movement. There are parents who do this in the Democrat Party, in the Republican Party, in the Liberal Party. It's not superhuman. It's not too much to ask. Now, the problem is with veganism, the lack of response I get back, the lack of initiative from anyone else. That when I reach out to people and say, hey, I want to organize an event, I want to organize a conference discussing a particular issue, or even I want to publish a children's storybook. There's a great example of vegan activism that really overlaps with parenting. I wrote a children's storybook. I'd like to write more, and I'd like to get an illustrator, professional illustrator and publisher. Storybook's now been translated into many languages: Chinese, Swedish, Japanese, Russian, German. Okay, but I can't do that kind of thing alone. So what are you insinuating here? I mean, she doesn't have a job. She's not in school. She has no other duties. And she has not uploaded 1,000 videos. So why not? Why would she not be, as you say, meeting other vegans, traveling around, and engaging in the fight for veganism as she travels around the world? Why not? Anyway, so far it's a weak argument. We'll see where it goes with that. I continue. He says, quote, I am surprised that you argue that cooperation with hunters is necessary, which I agree to, but do not accept that there might be vegans who try to reach out to non-vegans and accept reductutarians. and that it is necessary to reach the 85 or 95% who won't be 100% vegan within the next 10 or 20 years. So you're attributing a view to me that I haven't stated, and that's not in that video. So again, just like your comments about my divorce, it's not accurate, and it's also not clearly relevant. Like, what do you imagine? You're apparently assigning the claim to me that I refuse to talk to people who aren't 100% vegan. Well, on the contrary, what we're debating is the fact that Swayze, Unnatural Vegan, refuses to talk to vegans. She won't talk to me. She won't talk to or cooperate with anyone within the vegan movement. She won't even cooperate with people who are 100% vegan. I'm in the opposite position where I'm saying I'm willing to cooperate with anybody. I'm willing to cooperate with hunters. And I talked to, a couple days ago, I mentioned to my girlfriend, I talked to a guy who is mostly vegan, but who hunts rabbits, which is very rare. And he has this whole ecological rationale for that. So he doesn't buy any meat from a factory, from a farm, but he will kill and eat wild rabbits. So that's a little bit ethically alien to me, but interesting guy. Sure, I'm reaching out to, and it's rare, but once in a while you meet people with that. When I was involved with the Cree and the Ojibwe, of course, I was talking to people who hunt moose, hunt beaver. I mean, that's, when you're talking to Cree and Ojibwe people, this is quite common. So again, I'm in a position where I'm trying to make something positive happen, and I'm willing to cooperate with anyone. And then you can have a footnote, no, I'm not willing to cooperate with neo-Nazis. I'm not willing to cooperate with communists. There are, you got to cooperate with people who are reasonable within certain hard ethical limits, and I've made videos talking about that. But I've been reaching out positively to every vegan under the sun for 5 years, and what we're discussing in the former brief video, much briefer than this video already, is the fact that Swayze has no interest in reaching anyone, not in her own neighborhood, not around the world, not anywhere else, etc., etc. He continues, quote, "You can build a bridge as a mother of 2 small children. Any vegan who has no sympathy with people who call themselves whole food plant-based and shy away from defining themselves as vegan in public just to avoid the toxic or ignorant vegans of the durian rider freely influencer type is suspicious to me." Okay, I don't know what this has to do with me or Unnatural Vegan. Are you forgetting which side she was on? She used to be a durian rider freely supporter. I wasn't. I don't know what you're trying to insinuate here. This doesn't make sense to me. This doesn't seem salient at all. And I didn't give up the label vegan because I disliked durian rider freely. I stood up to them. I pointed out the hard facts nobody else wanted to face up to, and I ended up in court. I ended up having death threats against me, having Durian Rider threaten to have a gang of people beat me up in the street, stab me, and all this stuff. I had Durian Rider denounce me, make up all kinds of lies about my sex life, and we ended up in court. That's what I did. Sorry, I mean, and I did a fundraiser exactly arguing that you shouldn't allow people like Durian Rider and Freely to take the good name of veganism and drag it through the mud. Swayze didn't do any of that. Sorry. So, anyway. All right. She might reach more people and convince them of reasons to be vegan, and they might actually stay vegan because she does not care what she or others eat. She is Mrs. Well-Planned Vegan Diet, which is more than so many fringe guys out there are able to comprehend. Why should she be forced to go to potlucks, etc.? She is not a vegan for people who are already vegan for a longer time. Oh, I see. There should be a separate censor. People who are already vegan for a longer time watch other websites, but she does attract the intelligent 16-year-olds and curious 6-year-olds in many forms and sizes. Okay, well, I think you're conflating a few different questions here. The question you ask in the middle is, why should she be forced to go to potlucks, etc.? She's at a stage of her career and fame and accomplishment and level of financial support that she can be the one organizing the potlucks. She can be the one organizing her own foundation to compete with PETA. For whatever reason, she doesn't support PETA. But I mean, what PETA does is a lot more sincere and meaningful than what she does. PETA is out there trying to change the world, and she's here on YouTube saying she has no interest in changing the world. So, nobody's talking about forcing her to go to somebody else's potluck. She's, at the stage and level of accomplishment where she can organize her own events, be the head of her own foundation, and she can set the rules. She can keep whatever company she wants to. And obviously, she doesn't want to cooperate with someone like me. But what she said is that she doesn't want to cooperate with anyone. She's not trying to make the world a better place in any way. So she's neither trying to improve or reform an institution like PETA, nor trying to do something better independently. So yes, potlucks, going to meet people and go to picnics, that's one small part of that process. Sure. Okay, I continue. She may not attract you or me, but she attracts enough people to make a Patreon a reliable source of revenue. Your openness seems to crack down as soon as they do not follow your path 100%. If someone meditates, takes antidepressants, accepts small-scale animal ownership, or talks to non-100% vegans, 2 days a week vegans, you're out. She does not promote that. So here's a quote. She just talks to people you would accuse of being weak, dumb, and immoral. Show me one video where she talks to any of those people. I have videos of me talking to people. I don't know if you noticed that. I have videos of me in dialogue with people. I've put hours and hours into. I don't see one video from her. I don't know of any instance of her talking even to other vegans about what's going on in the movement, trying to build something positive. I don't have one video of her talking to any of these types of people you're talking about. You think I don't talk to people who meditate? You think I don't talk to people who take antidepressants? You think I don't reach out to those people? I've made videos reaching out to and broaching all those topics and all those issues precisely because I'm facing, really dangerous pseudoscience, really dangerous misconceptions about those issues, and she hasn't. She's been on the wrong side of the antidepressant issue specifically, not all these issues. But I don't know of any examples of this where she reaches out to and talks to these. So again, I wish there was something here for me to respond to. And you say she talks to people that you would accuse of being weak, dumb, and immoral. Show me examples. What are you talking about? What are you talking about here? I mean, when I moved back to Canada, I wanted to be a part of the vegan movement. There was no vegan movement for me to be a part of. When I went to the fundraiser event for Jordan Reichert's vegan election campaign, did I accuse anyone there of being weak and dumb and immoral? No. I was reaching out to those people and trying to find common ground to build on. And there was one bodybuilder there who was willing to talk to me, willing to work with me. I was there to work with anyone who'd work with me for the future of the movement, for ecology and ethics and all these things in veganism. That's what I'm doing, And they're all deeply flawed people.
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Maybe he means, who she talks to is her audience.
Oh, okay.
She talks to people who...
Yeah, but you don't choose your audience. So Melissa's suggestion, you guys probably couldn't hear. She said maybe this guy means who she talks to is in her audience. Right. So you think her audience consists of people who would feel weak and dumb and immoral in watching my videos. Not that I actually call them weak and dumb and immoral. But, if you're taking antidepressants and making excuses for it, and you see my video and you stop and question those excuses, I see that as a really positive thing. If you're eating meat and making excuses for it, and you come to my channel and that my channel challenges you on it, I see that as a positive thing. So anyway, I definitely don't see it that way. Anyway, okay. Trying to wrap this up, but he goes on for a few more paragraphs here. Quote, you refuse to sit down with your very family when they do not refrain from animal consumption. That's never been stated on my channel, and it's not true. It's completely untrue. So again, you just keep making things up and assigning them to me that are not true and have never been true. So, I literally sit down and eat with all kinds of meat eaters, including my relatives. We did that today. Literally today. We sat down and ate with your relatives and they ate non-vegan food around us or in front of us or whatever, So again, you're just making things up. And he says, you do that for moral reasons. DXE had a campaign that utterly flopped, that utterly failed. Direct Action Everywhere asked their members to refuse to sit and eat with their own relatives if their relatives were eating meat. And Gary Yourofsky claimed that about his family. But I've never claimed that. And there are voices to the contrary. Gary Francione, he said many times the main form of activism, the main way he reached people, he would sit and eat dinner with people and colleagues and all the time. Normally, whenever he had dinner with a mixed crowd, veganism would get talked about because people would notice that he ordered a vegan meal, and he'd explain, this kind of thing. So yeah. Anyway, again, you're just making things up, and sorry, but again, this is about the contrast between myself and Swayze. Well, Swayze says she doesn't talk to anybody. So what? So what? She won't talk. She doesn't talk to meat eaters, and she also doesn't talk to vegans. So how does that make her better than me? She's even worse. All right. Okay. You should. He continues. Quote: "You should accept that aside from Freely and Gary and their posse, not many people are like that." Well, I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of vegans, probably thousands in the past 5 years. I really don't know if you're in a position to generalize about what vegans are like more than I am. And I haven't just been doing that over the internet. You may or may not remember I spent some memorable time in Chiang Mai, Thailand. We've recently been in Europe and so on. I really don't know what position you're in writing me this email for you to tell me, quote, not many people are like that. I see the problems that are in the movement, and, I see the limited positive impact I can have by engaging in these discussions on my YouTube channel. They meet their family. They have non-vegan friends. How else would you attract new people? Not everybody wants to lose their foreskin in order to be pure enough to be accepted inside the congregation hall. Given that this YouTube channel has had several videos staunchly against circumcision, that's a poor choice of imagery. But yeah, I'm also totally morally opposed to circumcision, male circumcision or female circumcision. So I shouldn't do this. These are just lies about me. Concerning radicalness, you are closer to Yurovsky than you may like. Okay, well, he turns it into a compliment. He says, concerning radicalness, you are closer to Yurovsky than you may like. You are the boxing intellectual kind of radical person. And I like you for that, just as I like Stephen Fry and Christopher Hitchens. Okay, well, this is flattering company to be in. Christopher Hitchens and Stephen Fry, at least. I'm not so flattered to say that I have a lot in common with Gary Yourofsky. We're here in Detroit right now. So, guys, if you have contact, anyone who has contact with Gary Yourofsky watching this video, tell him we could meet up with him in the next couple of days. He ain't busy. He's retired, just like Unnatural Vegan. He's got a lot of time on his hands. So, okay, this is interesting. So he has actually some positive feedback here. Kudos for taking down the most toxic guy on YouTube, meaning taking down Dairy Rider. Without your courage, no one would have had no one would have had the guts to do that. But vegan cheetah, Henya, Nikocado, I'm always puzzled that you talk to such shallow people and can't make peace or discuss with Unnatural Vegan. Your disdain seems to be so strong that even if she would talk to you, there would be no result. Well, we'll never know, because she's never been willing to talk to me. I don't know what your point is here. Again, I reach out to and talk to all kinds of people, positively and constructively. If Unnatural Vegan actually wanted to make something positive happen in the world, of course we want to talk to her. If all she wants to do is exist as a parasite on the vegan movement, I'm not so interested in that. And that is what her current claim boils down to. It's a form of parasitism. She doesn't want to be part of the vegan movement. She doesn't want to be part of the community. She doesn't want to build a movement. She doesn't want to build a community. She doesn't want to do anything for the future of this movement. She wants to do, what I ate in a day videos and review products and make videos and be paid for it. So that to me, and constantly disclaim that she's not a part of this movement anyway and isn't trying to build something positive for the future. So that's more of a parasitic relationship to the movement, which is the same thing I said to Vegan Cheetah also, by the way. I think with time, that's why people stopped supporting Henya. Early in Henya's career, she was a real vegan activist. She was idealistic and trying to make a difference. And then with time, she just became a lifestyle vlogger who related parasitically to the vegan movement. She was literally feeding off of it. What can I say? Who is Unnatural Vegan today? She's someone who earns her living from the vegan movement without in any way being a part of or contributed to the vegan movement. And she doesn't even want to be. Even if you gave her the extra $1,000, what would she do with it? Nothing for veganism. Nothing for the movement or nothing for the community. Anyway, but you say your disdain for her seems to be so strong that even if she would talk to you, there'd be no result. Well, she is entitled to her feelings, and I'm entitled to mine. She's someone who has really lied about me, who's really blackened my character, and, she's really damaged my situation on YouTube and in veganism. And slowly, people have woken up to the extent to which I was telling the truth all along, and that my criticism of her wasn't nonsense. It was really based on substantive and important things. But her criticism of me is underhanded and dishonest, and, it doesn't hurt me emotionally, but it's hurtful. So, she's entitled to her feelings, but aren't I also, entitled to mine? So this is the part I really disagree with. She says, pardon me, he or she says, I don't even know the gender of the person who wrote this. Let's presume it's a man. He says, Unnatural Vegan is not on permanent vacation. She has evolved from a raw vegan dog sitter to a well-planned, whole foods, plant-based vegan mother who does her thing on YouTube and Patreon. Huge plus, she does not monetize her children. She does not even show them. I don't know why you see that as a huge plus. She accepts they have the right to privacy until they're old enough to decide for themselves and want to go online. That's completely irrelevant to this conversation. I disagree with her on that too. But what I disagree with here most of all is your statement, Unnatural Vegan is not on permanent vacation. Yes, she is. Unnatural Vegan is almost the definition of what I'd call permanent vacation. So he closes the letter by saying, you have this strong point that your philosophical videos are excellent and your Hangout videos are great. No, we haven't done Hangout videos for a long time. It's true. Thanks. Talk to people. Some people have to be called out. I would appreciate that you reduce the callouts of Unnatural Vegan to substantial stuff, like the antidepressant discussion or the palm oil debate. So that's interesting. You should have said that. So this is someone who did see value in my confronting Unnatural Vegan about antidepressants and on palm oil. So, But he says, in closing, this was an ad hominem attack with cheap tricks, meaning this particular video he considers an ad hominem attack. Well, okay, I don't see it that way, but I think the point I made in that video was very simple. You're presented with this question of what is Unnatural Vegan aspiring to do? If you gave me $1,500 a month, I could list for you all the things I'd do with those donations. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to make $1,500 in donations. I can tell you about all the things I'm passionate about accomplishing in veganism, short-term, medium-term, long-term, and having one kid isn't going to stop me, and having two kids isn't going to stop me, and being enrolled in a PhD program isn't going to stop me, and having a part-time job isn't going to stop me. It didn't stop me. I had a job in China. It was a full-time job. Well, and I kept on doing this stuff. I kept being on the grind. I can tell you about both easily attainable and more far-flung and hypothetical goals I'd like to achieve. And it's very significant. It's a simple point. I made it in 7 minutes in that video. It's very significant to draw attention to what this woman's aspirations are and what they are not. So don't kid yourself. Unnatural Vegan has a lot more in common with Ellen Fisher than she wants to admit, because all she is at this point is a lifestyle YouTuber who is going to take your money and feather her nest and keep on telling you that getting organized with vegans or building a community or building a movement, engaging in real-world activism, engaging in public outreach, lobbying, you name it, is somehow a waste of her time. And we can't really say that she's an aspiring documentary filmmaker. We can't really give any other... She's not any more of a documentary filmmaker than Ellen Fisher is, if anything less. So that, to me, is not an ad hominem attack, and there's no cheap trick. It's a very simple and ineluctable truth. Thanks for your time.